You're watching the Fantasy Rankings Report only on Fantasy Now Plus.
How's it going? Welcome to the Fantasy Rankings Report, where we compare running back and wide receiver rankings from various different fantasy football companies. My name is Michael Flores, and that is not Topher today, but that is John. John, welcome. How you doing?
Great, Michael. Thanks a lot for having me join in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. As you guys might have heard last week, Topher's got some concerts going on, so fortunately he's not going to get to make fun of me this week for the whole Bears-Packers game, but I'm going to have to wait on it for another week.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about me making fun of the Bears. I'm a Niner fan, so.
Oh, we'll have our week in a couple weeks. But usually Topher does the wide receivers. Today, John will. I'm going to be the running back guy. And just want to mention that the show is brought to you by Fantasy Now Plus and the FinTalk Sports Network. And subscribe to both channels. Our links are going to be in the description. And also, if you can, Underdog Fantasy. If you use our promo code FN Plus and you play your $5, you get $100 in bonus funds right off the bat using promo code FN Plus. So, John, I don't know how familiar you are with everything, but normally we start off with like a ranking question of the day. And that could be anything from our area of expertise, or it can just be kind of anything. So right now, this week is normally Topher's turn, but I went ahead and I put something together for you. And essentially all I want to know is, who would you rather play for the rest of the season? And I have two questions, and then I'm going to take those two guys and I want you to compare those two. So first up, I got Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane. Who would you rather play for the rest of the season?
I'm going to go with Gibbs based on his track record and what he's done lately. And I'm pretty sure, as I've heard most of today, is Achane will be good to go. But he went out for a little bit last week, and if he, who knows, they're going to go for it in Miami. They're sending it all in, putting it all in. I guess for Mike McDaniel, but just Detroit and fighting for the playoffs, and who would have thought they were and not comfortably in, other than a Bear fan. But I would lean Diggs or Gibbs for sure on that one.
Cool, I like it. And then I decided to go wide receiver for the next one, George Pickens and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay, well, another Detroit guy there, which same as Gibbs, is they're fighting to control the playoff hunt and get up top as far as they can. Pickens has been unreal this year, and CD Lamb. I was gonna say I'm on Rob even like heavier, but now that I remember CD with that concussion, and we know what Pickens did earlier, so I think I'm going to go Pickens with that one, actually.
Yeah, awesome. I like it. And then let's say we're like in a weird flex scenario. These guys are never going to be your flex spot, but you had to choose between now Pickens or Gibbs rest of the way through for the season. Which way are you going?
I'm a running back guy, especially with the dual threat of PPR points, as most of our leagues are set up now, at least half PPR points. So I would lean Gibbs. He's just been leading the way on both sides of the ball. So more consistent, and you're going to get the points from Gibbs.
Perfect. I love it. Cool. Thank you. We do have a question in from Max Glenn 4886. So guys, huge question. Start 2. Wilson, Igbuka, or Sutton? Igbuka's been kind of on a downward trend, if I remember seeing that correctly, to be honest. If I'm going to start 2, I think I like Wilson Sutton personally. I do know Mike Evans is, I don't know if I think he came off today. He's got the okay to play. So that might hurt Ibuka a little bit more as well. But I think I lead towards Wilson Sutton. What are you thinking, John?
Yeah, Ibuka, he's not really done much since the beginning of the year. And a couple weeks ago when I was on one of our start sits, I believe it was we were constantly saying Troy Franklin this, Troy Franklin that, and he was leading and Sutton was taking the back seat. But Sutton's been progressively getting more active as the season's gone on. I think we'll be talking about him a little bit later. But Wilson's got a tougher matchup this week. It's Denver, I believe. So they're gonna have their hands full, but they're slinging it. Brissett's slinging it all over the field, and Wilson's been the receiver of all of them with Harrison out. So I would say Wilson and Sutton as well.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, let us know what you go with, Max, and let us know how it works out. Definitely interested to see. Cool. So our next segment after we do our question is our steady and save segment. And this is the part of the show where we each highlight 3 players in our positions of expertise that the consensus they agree on. So it's not necessarily who we think, yeah, you have to play this guy. It's more so the collective on how they see it. Sometimes we agree with it. Sometimes we don't. John, you want to go ahead and get us started on this one?
Yeah, I'll start. My first pick this week was Stephon Diggs, and he's listed at wide receiver 21 in a range of 18 to 22, range of 4, and he's had 64 receptions, 705 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is going to be a revenge game of sorts for him. He's number 36 on the fantasy points per game list, only averaging 9.7 points. But I think everything will start picking up 0.8%. Last 3 weeks, he's been quiet on the touchdown front, but it's Drake May, and Josh Allen's going to be slinging it on his side. I hope, anyways, because I need him in Fishbowl. So I need him to give me another 50-point week.
Here you go.
So yeah, that's where I started off this week.
Awesome. I like it. And I mean, I guess I'm a homer when it comes to this, but I love revenge games. I want to see the guy go off on their former team every single time.
I did also hear, I didn't get to look it up, but there is some incentives in Diggs' contract that I think they'll look to try and get here in the next, couple weeks, especially if a game is more comfortable in hand. Now this week it ain't necessarily isn't gonna be comfortable with Buffalo, but I see them peppering him with some more targets to get them incentives and that extra money too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. It is time to start looking at incentives for the rest of the season in fantasy because they're going to start getting close and guys are going to want their money.
Oh, yeah.
So first guy I'm going with on steady and safe is Amarian Hampton, listed right now RB24. He's got a range of 4, and he's finally back. He's been gone since week 5, and he responded well in his first game back. 56 yards. He even had 2 receptions and a receiving touchdown against the Eagles. I'm going to gloat when I can. I think the Bears completely broke the Eagles, and they're going to be taken advantage of now. So that's the one win. I didn't have one the week before or this past week, so I got to take that one. But Casey's up next for him, and they're doing well against the run right now. It's about 97.7 yards they're giving up in their last 3 games. This is really going to be a good matchup for Hampton now that he's, I guess, warmed up and he's got the game back under his belt. I like to see what he's gonna do next, and if he can do it against KC right off the bat right away, I think he'll be looking good.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are still sticking with that run. You got the Harbaugh mentality there with that run game, the duel. We thought last week Vidal would slow down and Hampton would, ramp his way up, but they both actually produced. So I think that's a safe bet there, and I would say Kansas City's definitely been playing tighter on the defensive side, but they can both still get it done.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was about to just ask who you got next.
Okay, yeah. So the next one I had was Luther Burden. He is wide receiver 33, and his range is only at 1 between 32 and 33. And I think that could be a little bit deceiving based on what Chicago has going on with their receiving and their injuries. And I could see that, if he keeps he gets active after this week and everything elevating beyond that to where he'll jump up probably low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3 range. But he leads the pass catchers. I'm sorry. He has the 12.36 yards per reception, so he's still getting that deep threat beyond the line of scrimmage. 15.9% target percentage. He's only got 8.4 fantasy points per game, but that's also putting him in the 3-4 wide receiver range. DJ Moore, we're still looking for him. If you happen to know where he is, Chicago wants to know too. He has had 30 or 40 targets, 395 yards so far, and 1 touchdown. So, like I said, I just think he's on the rise for sure, especially for Chicago, and they want to keep that rolling.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, as a Bears fan, I'm hoping he does well this week too. I mean, somebody has to if Rome's out and DJ's not doing anything right now. I mean, I'd love Luther Burden to excel at the same time as DJ Moore, but if Moore's not doing it, Burden really has to. So I like that. I like that a lot. So my next guy, I'm going Aaron Jones. He's at RB27. He's got a range of actually only 2. This was actually an interesting week for the running backs with their ranges. It was actually a significantly low ranges than I'm used to seeing. But for Minnesota this past week, I was not expecting them to have Washington only put up a goose egg on them. Jones put up 76 yards in that effort, and on top of that, Mason ran for 52. So they were mixing it up. But Dallas is up next, and they're giving up 123.5 rushing yards a game per season. These guys are just letting people run all over them. Now they have been better over the past 3 games. They've lowered it down to 97 yards over the last 3 games. But really, if Minnesota thinks that they're gonna just make an effort at the end of the season now, I think Aaron Jones does fairly well. I don't have him as like a must start kind of guy, but I can see why the consensus are pretty set on him.
Yeah, I agree, and I think McCarthy, he had the 3 touchdowns last week in a good game, but he's going to rely on that running back group to open up his ability to even be able to throw. So he'll rely on that as well. My third choice this week for the steady and safe was Tedero McMillan. He's ranked wide receiver 17. He's in a range of 14 to 20 with a range of 6. The last 4 weeks, he's had 18.6 fantasy points, 57 receptions on the season, 826 yards, 14.5 yards per reception, 20.2 target percentage, 4 touchdowns in the last, I believe, 5 weeks. So he's really been bringing it on. Bryce has been looking for him every chance he gets. They're going up against New Orleans, who's allowing 197 yards per game, which for New Orleans, that's actually, in the 11th, I think, range of defenses in the last 4 weeks. So they're definitely trying to stay in the hunt, not the hunt, but stay in the keeping the games close and giving Schuff a chance to show what he's got as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I like it. Yeah, it's crazy that I think we've mentioned this a few times on the show, but how well the Panthers are doing this year, man. I'm I was not expecting Bryce Young to be any kind of serviceable quarterback, if I was being honest, but yeah, Panthers look good.
I lost Daniel Jones last week, and I actually picked Bryce up just as a backup because they've got who did they just play? They got him again next week.
That was, give me 1 second. Sorry, I completely forgot. But yeah, so you're saying they're playing them twice in 3 weeks.
So they've got a decent end of the season schedule to where he can come through. If I got Drake May as my starter, but I picked up Bryce just to have him because of their playoff schedule for the fantasy playoffs. So if it comes down to it, I hope I don't need him. Hopefully Drake can get me to that championship. But
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as McMillan as a rookie is doing phenomenal. So he's got a guy right there to throw it to. So with my last guy, I'm going Tony Pollard. He's at RB31. He's got a range of 3. Like I was saying earlier, the ranges are pretty low this week, and it made it a lot more of an interesting choices as we were going through. But Tony Pollard, RB31, range of 3, and hey man, Titans won a game. They got another one in there. He looked great. He rushed for 161 yards on 25 attempts, and he scored twice. He actually put some great numbers up there this week again, and finished as RB2 in PPR leagues. It's kind of hard to argue against that. They are going up against your Niners.
they are.
And the Niners have been stingy lately.
Yeah, they've been fighting for Salah. I was worried earlier on. I mean, obviously when you lose 2 of your best defensive players in the NFL, especially right there in the middle, that takes a big toll on the running game. But they've fought hard for Salah, and he's kept them. He's just I hope we keep him for a coordinator because we just play so good on the defense with him. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a good look for them this week too. I mean, over the last 3 games, they've only been giving up about 81 yards a game, 81 rushing yards a game. I mean, they're stopping guys. So it'll be an interesting one for Pollard. I mean, San Francisco's fighting in a tough division right now, so we'll see what they got.
We need every win. It's a tough division. Three teams potentially can come out of that division in the playoffs. Right now we have control of it, so hopefully we can keep control of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see we got question here asking. I'll let you take the reins with being the running back guru this week. With Breece Hall or Chris Rodriguez, who would you go with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cap, thanks for asking. Breece Hall's going up against the best rush defense this week, man. He's going up against Jacksonville, who's just absolutely shutting guys down right now. Chris Rodriguez is playing the Giants, who he probably has a better chance of doing something against. Now, I don't know how they're going to use Breece Hall in this game. If I have to recheck, see who's quarterback this week, because if I'm not mistaken, it's not
Brady
Tyrod
Cook,
Taylor. Yeah, so he might just need to run. Chris Rodriguez is an interesting guy. I talked about him last week. He can go off for a bunch of yards, but then also do nothing. He's kind of, I would say, touchdown dependent at this point. Honestly, I'd go Breece Hall just because he's probably going to have to rush a lot. Do you have any thoughts on it, John?
I was actually looking it up to check and make sure because I heard he was. I know he received or had that knee issue from last week, and it did say that he didn't practice today. Now I know it's early in the week; it's Wednesday, so we can't really go off of that yet. But we want him to definitely see a limited tomorrow. Talent-wise, what you think game script-wise we should see Breece produce more than Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez is, you know, taking over that lead spot over Bill, and names just are dropping me today. But
yeah, Krosky Merritt.
yeah, so I still go with Brees as long as he's gets in that practice and it's a go. Obviously, if he's not, you're forced to go with Chris. But I would, if they're both available, definitely Brees is who you want.
Yeah, awesome, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, so definitely, Cap, keep an eye out for injury reports coming up. But if he's playing, Brees is the way to go. Got a couple more quick questions. One, we got a quarterback one here. Great when it comes to quarterbacks. If I'm being honest, I did terrible in this year's draft, in almost every draft. But I almost go Law just because he's going up against the Jets defense. What do you think, John?
I would have to take a second and think about between Law and Purdy because of that Tennessee defense in general. But Law is Lawrence. I'm reading here. Trevor Lawrence. He's been doing good last 3-4 weeks, and even with the adversity that he's been dealing with. Brian Thomas has not been as productive as I know fantasy owners want to see, but I think he can get him going, and he'll get Brent Strange. He had a bad week last week. I think he'll have a better week this week. So yeah, I would say Lawrence would be my pick of those three.
Yeah, awesome. Now, we had another person ask a quick question. Caleb Andrew, appreciate it. I'm not good on defenses. I really don't play in defense league that play defenses, but his question is, hey guys, Lions defense or Saints defense, week 16 and 17. I have the bye, so this week doesn't matter. No, I'm not great with defenses. I'm not good at comparing them, to be honest. I don't know if you are at all, John.
I follow him briefly, and I don't know, and I'm not as good or as quick as pulling up who they've got the last 2 weeks of the playoffs. But based on what I know and what I'm seeing in front of me here, I would go with Detroit. Just as an overall of what they've done without knowing who they're playing.
Yeah, so Detroit's got Steelers week 16, and then they have, I just lost them.
16
they have
Steelers and
Vikings.
then the Vikings. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah. And then the Saints.
Saints got Titans in week 17, and they have Jets week 16.
Well, after hearing that, I'd probably actually lean the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've got a better shot against those two offenses.
Yeah, very fair. Now, sorry, we couldn't really get too into it, Caleb. We do mostly running backs, wide receivers. Every now and then we can maybe sprinkle in a couple of different things, but defense just isn't really our forte. So before we get into the real meat of our show, which is our experts against experts, just gonna let you guys know that appreciate y'all here, and if you feel the need, go ahead and subscribe to both channels. And once again, Underdog, if you sign up using promo code FN Plus, you play your first $5 and you'll get 75 in bonus funds. So now on to our experts against experts. This is the part of the show where we each highlight 5 players in our positions of expertise that the consensus disagrees on. Now, on the last one we did they agree on. This one, the range is going to be much wider. So now we'll each talk about one from each tier. For example, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then same with the running backs. And typically, Topher leads this segment first. So, John, I'll let you go ahead and go with your first one.
All right. For the wide receiver 1 tier, I actually went with Devontae Adams. He's in a range of 4 to 11. He's a wide receiver 6, and as of recent, he's been wide receiver 8 in fantasy points per game, averaging 16.3 points. Last 4 weeks, he's been wide receiver 17 in fantasy points per game at 14.8. He has had at least four receptions every week, but 2 this entire season. He leads the NFL with 14 receiving touchdowns, and that's with having Puka Nacua right there beside him, tearing it up on both sides there. Devontae's got a 23.8% target share, 54% catch rate, 38% air yards. Last week was the first week since week 7 that he didn't have a touchdown. He's got 55.2 receiving yards per game, making most of his receptions, within the 20s. To where he gets them touchdowns. That's why they're just looking for him there with that height. Detroit has given up the second most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver at 32.5 points. He has the 5th most touchdowns, or they've given up the 5th most touchdowns with 26 receiving touchdowns, and they've given up 60 targets inside the 20. So like I just said, where Stafford's looking when he gets down there closer to the goal line, he's looking for Devontae. So that's where I went.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a hell of a year. I mean, I was expecting him to have a good year, but yeah, he has been going off this year for sure. My RB1 tier guy, first guy I'm going with. It's hard to go up against this guy, Jonathan Taylor. He's actually at RB12, so he's very bottom of the tier for RB1 tier right now. But his range is crazy. It's anywhere between 4 and 19. So that's a 15 difference. And that means somebody has him as a mid RB2 tier this week. And he's been tearing it up. But since the bye week, JT really hasn't been the same JT. Now, don't get me wrong, he's doing well, but it's just not the same level pre-bye week. In his 3 games since bye, he's finished RB 28, 18, and 20. And they got Seattle next. Seattle's doing awesome this year. Top 5 rush defense. They allowed 91.2 rushing yards a game this year. And in the past 3, they've been even better, 83.3 yards a game. And that's including giving up 86 to Bijan last week. And one thing they did stop Bijan from doing is receiving the ball. He only had eight receiving yards, and JT does both. He receives and he can rush it out. So if they can stop his receiving game, which who knows what that's going to look like anyway, because Old Man Rivers up at quarterback. You got a grandpa out there slinging it. It's going to get interesting. Like I saw his press conference earlier, at least a clip of it. Honestly, all the comments were just talking about how old and big he looks. Like that's all people had to say right off the bat. Like it is going to be interesting. I think he's got 10 kids and 1 grandkid. I don't think I've seen. Oh, I guess I did see Favre with the Vikings, and I believe he was a grandpa at the time. But the second grandpa playing in the NFL that I'm ever going to see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. And does that mean Taylor's going to have to run more, or is he going to use him as a security blanket to dump it off to him? I don't know. It's not really up for debate because Taylor's an always must start. So it's not really like, oh, do we start him anyway? No, you always start him.
Yeah, you're not sitting JT on top of the year that he's has had up to this point, even with the last couple of down weeks, which if he was having that earlier on, and then we would have been praising everything just as a good season versus the amazing season. So, and they're going to rely with the turmoil of the quarterback situation, whether it is Rivers, Riley, Leonard, or whatever his name is. they're gonna just give him the rock and tell him to push and go. I believe most of what I've heard and seen is they're gonna, project at least 25 touches. So, and he'll make the most of it. He knows it's on his back, so I expect him to give it all.
Yeah, for sure.
My wide receiver 2 that I went with this week, was Wan'Dale Robinson. He is wide receiver 16. He's in a range of 10 through 21, range of 11. He's wide receiver 23 in fantasy points per game at 13.4. He's only got 3 touchdowns on the year, but he's done most on the ground, in the air. Wide receiver 13 with 16.2 fantasy points per game in the last 4 weeks. So he's stepped it up the last 4 weeks. Darts back, so that's good. 34.4% target share, 24% air yards. He's had 75.3 yards per game, 1 touchdown. That's 11th best in the last 4 weeks. He's 10th in targets this season with 103. So they're trying to get it to him everywhere they can. Commanders are the 8th worst against the wide receivers, giving up 29.3 fantasy points per game. And they are giving up 260 yards per game, 12.6 yards per reception, and the 4th most, 26 touchdowns to the wide receiver position. So.
Yeah, awesome. My RB2 tier guy I haven't talked about in a little while. That's Kyron Williams. He's at RB 15. His range is a 7, anywhere between 13 and 20. And opposite of what I just said about JT, he's been absolutely phenomenal since the bye week. His worst week was week 12 against Tampa, where he only rushed for 46 yards, ended with 5.8 PPR points. But the 5 other weeks, he scored at least 13 points. And Detroit's next. I know we were just talking slightly about Detroit's defense and whether they were going to start them over the Saints. They keep getting hurt. So that's one thing that scares me about starting Detroit's defense. But, they've been pretty good otherwise. They are still a top 10 rushing defense in the league. But the last 3 games, their average has been going up. They're giving up almost 113 rushing yards a game. But the thing is, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But so Rams have Seattle and San Francisco is on the Rams have Seattle and San Francisco on their tail, in the standings. And Detroit's right now trying to make their way into the playoffs. I think it's going to be a pretty good fantasy game. There might not be the best defense going on. I have a feeling that it's just going to be kind of not a high scoring game, but higher than anticipated. And I think the running backs on both sides are really going to have their way this week, even though it has been very good defenses, rush defenses.
Yeah, and I think that the rise of Corum in the last couple of weeks, I'm a Michigan fan also, so I like to see him actually get the attention and make his way, because he hasn't done anything up until now. But I think that opens up more for Kyron, and gives him a better share of rest and making the most of his carries as well. And I can't see Corum right now. He's still got a little bit of ways to go to remain that steady productions.
Yeah, for sure.
My wide receiver 3 tier is Cortland Sutton. He is wide receiver 27. He's in a range of 21 to 40, which goes back to what I said earlier, is Troy Franklin kind of initially, I think, had that mirage of taking over that spot, but Cortland Sutton's been trying to get it back, per se. It's a range of 19 between that 21 through 40. He's been wide receiver 26 in fantasy points per game. wide receiver 18 in the last 4 weeks. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season. The last 4 weeks, he's had an 18.2 target share, 68.2% catch rate with 1 touchdown. Bo Nix is looking at him more and more the last few weeks. 21% target share, 32% air yards. He's got a 12.6% ADOT. The Green Bay Packers ranked 21st in fantasy points per game to the wide receiver. They're allowing 23.4 fantasy points per game. They've allowed the 12th most receptions, 17 touchdowns to the wide receivers, and they are allowing approximately 201 yards receiving per game. So the Denver's gonna try and take control and get that, hold that number 1 spot in the AFC division. So I can see them throwing it all over. And Bo Nix, I don't know. He's just been a manager, I guess, to me. He's not been
spotty.
Yeah, he's a little bit here and there. So.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and personally, I'd love Sutton go off, let Green Bay take another L. Like at this point, we can use it. It's gonna be a tight race. Before I go on to my next one, we did have Caleb Andrew ask another question real quick. Not sure we'll get too much into it, but maybe just some quick thoughts, just because it is a Week 16 matchup. So, because anything can happen, because one of them's also a flex question in there. But for Week 16, he's asking who we should start. He's got to figure out 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex option. So let's break it down a little bit quick. First with the running backs. So he's got 2 spots between Gibbs, Bucky, Judkins, Woody, Blake Corum. Now, right off the bat, I'm saying Gibbs, Bucky. Gibbs is definitely never a do not start. Bucky, when he's playing, he's going to look good. Once he starts warming up, he's going to go off. I feel like those 2 spots alone are already filled for running back. What do you think?
Yeah, just going, like we said, without doing too much research for time constraints, Gibbs and Bucky are definitely where we're going to, start off with the running back. Judkins obviously has his position too, but not over those 2. Bucky's proven that he's back, and I think they're going to rely on him with Baker is another one of those that's inconsistent all over, dealing with the injuries. So, and then we can go, with 3 wide receivers, we can rule out or whatnot. JSN is definitely in.
Of course.
Devontae, you're not sitting Devontae for leading in touchdowns this season, like I just said a little bit ago. Evans is coming back, but Mahomes is, they're going to do their Kansas City thing and find a way to. I don't know. They're digging a pretty good hole, and I'm enjoying it, watching them go further and further in that hole with the 6-7 record. But JSN, Rice, and Devontae, I would say are 3 for sure for the wide receiver spot, and then we just need to look at the flex spot, which, without looking at the just not that quick yet on looking at all the stats, I would lean Judkins. I think I typically lean the running back in the flex spot unless it's an obvious thing. And Mike Evans coming back, Egbuka's missing as of the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. So I would definitely go Judkins there.
Yeah, completely agree with the wide receivers. I mean, JSN, Rice, Devontae, those are must starts. And then, yeah, for the flex, I'm right there with you. I was thinking either Judkins or Woody Marks. Probably leaning heavier Judkins, but without getting too much into it or doing too much research on it, that's pretty much what I'd go with.
Yeah, I forgot about Woody being on that list as an option, and he's getting the playing time, he's getting the touches. He's not doing anything with them. I'm not trying to be just simple, but he's just not producing, even though he's getting the bulk of everything. So
Yeah, you're not wrong. But Caleb, feel free to come back next week, maybe ask the same thing and see how we feel.
hopefully we
But
gave you some good info on that.
yeah, absolutely. All right, so for my next guy, running back 3 tier. This one was a little bit interesting. This is a guy I actually dropped in the offseason in my Dynasty League. I don't even know who picked him up, if anybody did, but it's Devin Singletary. Now, he's at RB32, range of 10. He's 29 to 39. But so last week was bye week, but the week before that, they went up against New England, and he actually finished as RB7. And I've said it on here multiple times how great New England's rush defense was for the longest. They were up until like I forget what week that was again. They played the Jets. They hadn't given up more than I think one game with 50 rushing yards to a player, and that was I believe Josh Allen of all people too. I mean, granted, I know he can run, but it wasn't a running back that they had given up the most yards to this year so far. But he looked good against them. Finished as an RB7. He had 68 yards and a touchdown. Added 3 receptions for 34 yards. Now, the thing that I found interesting with this one was that he's actually getting those red zone rushes. I honestly thought at the beginning of the season, I think I've mentioned this multiple times, I really had a lot of high hopes for Tracy. I thought he was going to have a great year. I thought he was going to take lead over that running back room. It hasn't been exactly what I thought, and Tracy's getting 19.1 of the rush attempts in the red zone, while Singletary has a 31.9% snap count there, which I wasn't expecting that much of a difference, and that might end up making Singletary more of an interesting start if you do have him in a deeper league right now. Now Washington's up next, and they don't have Jaden Daniels. They already announced that he's going to be out, and they just got shut up by Minnesota. Do the Giants have the offense right now to go ahead and put up a weird number where Singletary might end up rushing a lot? I mean, it's very possible. I mean, Dart's back. This will be his second game back. You had mentioned Robinson earlier. I mean, this could be a game where it ends up being a rushing game for the Giants, and if so, Singletary, yeah, he might have a pretty interesting chance this week.
Yeah, I agree. They can lean on that, and they need to protect Dart, not let him run as much. So let him give the ball to Singletary, and as long as Tracy's healthy, let them fight it out as to who wants to have the week. But I think they're both capable of producing, especially against the Commanders.
Yeah, for sure.
My wide receiver 4 that I went with, we talked about his grandpa a little bit ago, is Alec Pierce. And he is currently ranked wide receiver 41 with a range of 9 between 41 and 50. He is wide receiver 36 in fantasy points per game, 28 in the last 4 weeks fantasy points per game. He's got 45% air yards, 19% target percentage. As we spoke about earlier, they are facing the Seattle defense, who's been pretty tough and stiffened it up. They're giving up the 9th fewest touchdowns to the wide receiver position, 4th best against the wide receivers in fantasy points per game. They are the 2nd best in yards per reception, with only giving up 9.7 yards. And sorry, but Packers are the best in that position, only giving up 9.3. They've only allowed 2 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. I jokingly said they visited a retirement home, and they got Phillip Rivers. Possibility to start this week. He's been that downfield threat, Pierce has. But what do we know about Rivers being able to, the 2 people I think that are going to produce for Indy is going to be JT, like you were saying earlier, and then probably Tyler Warren, being that dump off or those middle of the field 10-yard plays, because I just don't see, even if it's Riley, either one of them getting the ball down the same way. And they're going to look at Pittman first. Riley looked at Pittman all last week, and he was hyper focused on him. So I just think Alec might go by the wayside a little bit, but we shall see.
Yeah, awesome. And I have one league where I have both Pittman and Pierce. It's in a dynasty league, and it's been an interesting week to week to watch them. Like, who am I going to start? Because there's some weeks where it's not. I expect it to be Pittman, and it really should have been Pierce. But yeah, Alec Pierce I've really liked him this year for sure.
He's helped me a couple times.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm on a Detroit kick today, I guess, because my next guy going to David Montgomery, and he's at RB37. It's got a smaller range though, which I was really surprised in the RB4 tier that the ranges weren't as massive as some of the other tiers. But he only has a range of 5. He has listed anywhere between 33 and 38. And he had 14 points last week versus Dallas. He had that big 35-yard run, finished with 60 yards and a touchdown. I think he also had one catch for 13 yards. But the best way to put it, I think he's a very touchdown dependent running back in fantasy. Now, if he scores, great. You're going to get 10 points at least. If he doesn't, you're not sniffing 10 points. I was going through, there might have been only one game where he had a 10-point game without scoring a touchdown. Otherwise, it's touchdown or bust for him. But they got the Rams next, and it's gonna be interesting. They held Arizona to a total of 51 rushing yards, and it was led by Jacoby Brissett's 22. So they completely stopped the run game there. Granted, they absolutely destroyed Arizona, but they weren't allowing them to really do anything there. David Montgomery is definitely better than right now the running back room in Arizona, but again, he's a touchdown dependent guy, so the thought of starting him is going to be rough. If you have to, I'd say go for it. There is a league where I have to start him, so it's not like I'm steering well clear of him, but very touchdown dependent. If he doesn't score, don't expect much from him.
Yeah, I'm a fan of just David Montgomery as a person. He went to high school about 10 minutes from here, from
nice.
me. He actually played quarterback at Mount Healthy, which is, like I said, about 10 minutes from here. So I definitely want to root for him, but he's, as you said, heavily touchdown dependent. Whenever I am watching Detroit games, I'm, always pulling for him to get them yards, and every yard count. But when he goes off, it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's strong. I mean, I really liked him on the Bears. I thought he'd be a Bear for at least a little longer, but he went to Detroit. I thought it was weird grabbing Gibbs and just signing Montgomery, and I mean, it's worked out for them. Gibbs is phenomenal, and Montgomery, down year compared to last year, but yeah, he's strong. He can make plays go longer than they anticipate.
Yeah, you lost Montgomery, but then you gained Ben Johnson, so I think you might get the winning end of that deal with your two-headed running back core there right now too. So it's between Swift and the Nunn guy taking over that Montgomery role per se in the Ben Johnson offense. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, my wide receiver 5, another hometown call out here, I guess, per se, is Andre Yoshivas. He's wide receiver 57. He's got a range of 13 between 42 and 55. He is wide receiver 86 in fantasy points per game, 58 in the last 4 weeks in fantasy points per game. He's got just a 9.5 target share, 11% air yards. He's been targeted 47 times, 26 receptions, 363 yards, 2 touchdowns. With T. Higgins out this week with the concussion, Yoshivas could, get some more looks. Burrow wasn't in last time, that Yoshivas was seeing all the targets from Flacco. I just wish that game specifically, or those two games, Yoshivas just couldn't get the handle on the ball. Otherwise, I think his stats would be a lot higher, and they probably would have had more confidence in him in the offense. Ravens are the 11th best wide receiver matchup. They've given up 28.3 fantasy points per game, 19 receiving touchdowns this season. They're giving up 246 passing yards, 74 receptions inside the 20. So there again, you got Chase, and then besides Chase, Burrow's shown early in the preseason and before he got hurt that he does like to look Tinsley's way, but Yoshivas, I would say, is also one of the others that they will go with. Gesicki's the other one that most people talk about lately, but
Yeah, I like it. I mean, he went off versus the Bears. If I'm not mistaken, he was almost at 100 yards himself. And that was with Flacco. I mean, yeah, Flacco's good, but I mean, he's still another old man in the league that you shouldn't expect that from, and he made Yoshivas look pretty damn good.
yeah.
So usually, right now when I do my RB5 tier, I don't find a single guy to talk about really, because RB5, RB6 tiers, these are normally guys that hardly see the field, or probably like an RB3 under team, or guys just that aren't really doing anything. But I found an interesting one this week, and that's Dylan Sampson. He's RB55. His range is insane. It's 33. So he's anywhere between 30 and 63. So the NFL.com ranked him 30. That's crazy high compared to where everybody else has him at. But he's not really involved in the run game. The thing is, he has 9 games on the season with 3 attempts or less. The game where he was used the most was week 1 when Judkins was out, and he had 12 attempts, I believe it was. But what he is getting involved with a lot right now is the receiving game. He has 259 receptions on 259 yards on 28 receptions, sorry. And he's coming off a game right now against the Titans where he had 64 yards on 5 receptions. And I don't know if that's going to be something to keep an eye on with the playoffs coming up. I'm not saying that Sampson, you need to grab him for the last couple of weeks, but he's something to look at for dynasty leagues right now too. I know he's young, but if he's really going to get used in that passing game with Shadur at quarterback, that's something to pay attention to in PPR leagues, especially if you use him this next week, this upcoming week. He's playing Chicago, and one thing Chicago does is they do allow the running back to receive, and right now they're doing a little better. They're averaging about 27 receiving yards allowed to running backs, but you watch every week and you can tell that running backs are getting points against the Bears. But I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting one just to keep a look at least for future play, and then, like I said, for dynasty leagues for next year to see if they do decide they're going to have Shadur just stay at quarterback and they're going to end up using him. Is that going to be something that he looks to do, is to throw to his running back? And Sampson's guy to watch, I think.
Yeah. He'll get, obviously, if Shadur does stay and remain that starting quarterback, he'll get more comfortable with the offense as a whole. But now with the recent just leaving Shadur in there and getting used to everything, I think what you're seeing the most is, and that's why you're seeing Dylan right now, is he's keying in on his guys. Dylan Sampson, Harold Fannin, those are right now his guys, and that's what, when he, once he gets out of that pocket or whatever, he's going to those 2 places first, and then we don't know where it'll go beyond this season, but for now, I think that's where the ball's gonna, settle. So, yeah, like you said, with the wide receiver or the 5-6 tier area, it's tough to see who you think you can rely on or have any faith or whatnot in. One of the players I saw in that range, I picked up early on as a last or second to last pick in the drafts was Eilek Alemander. And he started off 7 targets, 6, 5, 7, slowed down there in the middle, and then week 8 came back with an 8 target game. So Cam was looking his way, and then he got hurt. Now he's coming back. Last week he only had 3 targets, 1 reception, but that was against Cleveland. Cleveland's shown they have that tough defense, so I wouldn't solely think that that's their only, or that to hold that against Eilek completely. He's got 68 fantasy points this year in 12 games, 353 yards. He's averaging 11.8 yards per reception. So I'm not one to talk about dynasty too deep, but I would definitely say he's a definite person to have on the bench in dynasty leagues for sure. And with Cam's had a couple decent weeks the last few weeks, so he'll look with Alemander getting healthier the rest of the way out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a guy that we've talked about on the show quite a bit, and yeah, I think he's definitely got a bright future. But John, thank you for joining us this week. It's been a pleasure. Be sure to follow us, guys. Both networks, subscribe to the channel. Remember, use FN Plus as your promo code for Underdog. Play $5, get 75 in bonus bets. Just appreciate y'all for being here. John, do you have anything before we head out?
Yeah, hopefully I can promote this and say it. I didn't get the full all clear, but we are in the beginning stages of accepting for Fantasy Now Plus Playoff Fantasy League here in a couple weeks once the regular fantasy season ends. You can get in by going to fantasynowplus.com/playoff fantasy football. It's a super flex format with a kicker. You have a 13-man roster, 1 player from any single team. So you have a 13-man roster. There will be 14 teams in the playoffs, so 1 team obviously won't. But if you go to the fantasynowplus.com/playoff fantasy football, you can sign up there and get you keep your season going if you're already out, or once the playoffs end, you still got maybe won some money and you want to play some. There will be going to there will be a payout and some to charity as well. So sign on up, give us a shout if you have any questions.
Yeah, absolutely, love it. Thanks for calling that one out. I've done this league, or not this league. I've done this format at work for a few years, and it's actually pretty fun. I mean, it's not exactly fantasy football, but it does keep the season going for you. And I'm basically out of every league except for one, so I'm definitely going to join.
Yeah, we'll be playing together then for sure.
Perfect, awesome. Well, we'll see you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great week. Good luck.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.